All right, here we go. We're ready to get started. All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to my first one. I've done a live before, but this is the very first one I'm doing in my solo sales and marketing mastery. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. If you're watching this live, thank you for joining me. If you're watching the replay, just put a comment and tell me that you're watching the replay. I want to start a series of podcasts, and I'll do them on a weekly basis to talk about the things that are going on in solar that are affecting your ability to either add to the pipeline, close deals, and create a lead generation machine and help you to close more business on a consistent basis. So I want to talk to you today about a lot of things. I'm going to try to cover in the next 30 minutes or so. Today we're going to talk about the art of overcoming objections and some of the things that you need to do to make sure that you are absolutely focused on asking more questions, getting engaged with your ideal client, your homeowner, your business owner, and really make sure that you are absolutely spot on, focused, and getting deals done. For those of you that are just joining me for the first time, my name is Anthony Conklin. I've been in the solar industry for 16 years. I have more than 30 years of business experience. Started out on Wall Street, realized I didn't like computers very much, and then I got into sales in 1999. I failed miserably. Then I hired some coaches, and I hung around some mentors, and then I learned through the process of being more patient, but being more insistent and focusing on what I want to give to my ideal client, I just started to really do well in sales. It has not been a pretty ride, hasn't been the best ride, but it is the most fulfilling thing I can do in the world. I also run a company called the AJC Group, which is a sales leadership and development coaching and consulting firm. It's basically all the techniques and tools I've learned over the years, not only being in business, but also being in solar, using practical psychology approach, all wrapped in solar sales leadership and development. So I work with a lot of you. Some of you that are in your 50s, I work with you as well. I have clients as young as 22. So it really kind of spans multiple generations. And the thing I like about what I do is I get to give all the things that I've learned to folks like yourself that want to level up your game. You know, if you ever saw that movie Back to the Future, Back to the Future 1 or 2, there's a Biff who's kind of like the bad guy. And Biff goes in the time machine. He actually goes in the DeLorean, goes back in time, and he tries to tell young Biff what to do so he doesn't make the mistakes. So I feel like I'm the older Biff telling you younger Biffs on what to do to try to avoid the challenges that I had to go through so you can actually level yourself up sooner, make a bigger impact, and of course, make more money. So today I want to talk to you about the art of overcoming objections. I don't know if you guys can hear me or not. I hope you can. This is my first time, so I'm really hoping that you guys can actually see me. I'm sorry, I got a little noise in the background here, and I just want to make sure that we're making the best use of time, and then we're going to get right to it. So I put together a listing of objections. Now, these aren't just my objections. These are objections that I'm hearing from multiple sales reps throughout the field, whether it be here on the East Coast or even across the coast in some parts of California, but mostly Arizona through Texas and Florida, which are the majority of the clients I work with. And I'm going to go through a couple of them, and I'm going to give you some thoughts on how to overcome some of those objections. Now, this isn't just for the solar industry. This could work in any industry. I'm going to focus a little bit on the in-home today, and then my next podcast, I'll talk more about commercial, I'll talk about industrial, I'll talk about different industries. But if you're in the real estate industry, or if you're in retail, or if you're in the insurance business, or if you're in some online digital marketing, and you want to be able to get in home, this podcast is going to be for you. So if you like this so far, and if you're really excited about learning today and sharing and taking away some gems that I'm going to give to you today, please make sure you like this podcast and share it out with everybody that you know, right? Everybody that you know. And I want to make sure that everybody gets a hold of these gems that I've learned and that I've been able to cultivate over years. One more thing I wanted to share with you. Someone asked me the other day, where did you get your inspiration from? Well, my inspiration came from my mom. My mom has always been my rock, rest in peace. She passed in 2016, but she was my rock. She always told me to just do what I really love to do. And in 2016, when I had the opportunity to meet Tony Robbins, he was on my podcast, and I also had a chance to interview him in person and meet him in person. He completely changed and pivoted my life to where I should have been focusing on, which is live your passion and find a way to make money from it. So I've been able to do this full-time for 16 years, and I'm so blessed to be able to continue to do that. So, all right, back to the program. Again, we're going to talk about the art of overcoming sales objections. And the first thing I want to share with you is, again, I got the 5 ones here. I'm going to give you a couple that are not as popular, and then I'm going to hold on to 1 or 2 of them that are really going to hit you right between the eye, and I want to get your feedback and your thoughts on it. So, here's one. I'm planning on moving soon. Now, if you think about that for a second, if I'm planning on moving soon, what does that mean? That means, well, we're not really sure this is not really something we want to get involved in. If we move, what's going to happen? Most of the time when a homeowner says, I'm planning on moving soon, they're really not moving soon. It's just an objection. You haven't gotten to the core issue. So one of the things I would say is let's say the homeowner's name is Anthony. I say, Anthony, that's great. Congratulations. When do you think you're planning on moving? And they could turn around and say, well, I'm not really sure yet. Okay, that's great. So when you move, are you going to be going to another home that has solar, right? I want to take them in a different direction because I want to ask a few more questions about why this is an objection. So when you move to your next place, are you thinking about going solar? And I said, well, yeah, probably. Good. So why don't you think about enjoying the benefit of solar now? And in a couple of years, when you decide to go solar, you notice I said a couple of years, which I've done is I've reframed their objection by giving it a timeline by saying, well, in a couple of years, when you decide to sell your home, there's a way of transferring the loan over to the new homeowner. And did you know, and then I go right into it. I say, and did you know that statistics state, now you can pick whatever statistic you want, but statistics state that anybody under the age of 45 will go solar. It's a question of when, not a question of if. Now, depending on how old the homeowner is, that may or may not resonate with them. But what you're doing is you're peeling away at the objection which is I'm planning on moving soon. Here's another way of looking at it. They say, I'm planning on moving soon. Anthony, that's great. Congratulations. Whether you're moving now or whether you're moving in 7 years, and they say the average homeowner only lasts 7 years in a home, you can actually transfer the loan over to the new homeowner. That's if it's a loan. If it's a purchase, great. You can add the remaining value of the savings that are produced from the solar system onto the price of the home. And you can use what they call the Pro calculator, which also give you an indication of what the increased value of your home will be. So what you're doing is you're reframing the objection into a value statement. That's great, Anthony. I want you to sell your home. It's awesome. And you know what? You're going to add an additional 4.5% of value according to a Pro calculator. And you're also going to be adding more value to the home because the system will produce savings. So essentially, Anthony, when you sell your home, you're giving a homeowner free electricity. So you've completely reframed that I plan on moving soon. Because when someone says that, that means you haven't given them enough information to be able to make a decision. Okay, so that's the one I plan on moving soon. Here's what. I'm not sure if solar panels will produce enough energy for my needs. Now, most of the time, solar panel systems are not going to be able to 100% offset your electricity. Now, if I go back when I first got into solar in 2007, we were selling on the premise that solar will eliminate your electricity bill. I even told many, many companies, I said, you are permanently and significantly reducing your electricity costs forever. So if you want to take that down, solar will permanently and significantly reduce your electricity costs forever. Now, permanently to me is 25 years. Now, solar systems don't stop. They don't stop. Solar systems have been up in space since the 60s, and they're still producing. Lower single-digit percentages, but they're still producing. They don't stop because there's no moving parts. So if you tell a homeowner you're going to permanently, because permanently could be 25 years, right? Significantly, which means it's a difference between you using 100% of the grid to using only 30% of the grid or even 40% of the grid, that's a significant number. You're permanently and significantly reducing and or eliminating your electricity bill forever. Now, we used to do that. Now, nowadays, because of, and it really depends on where you are. So if you're in the Northeast, this definitely resonates with you because we have tons of trees here in the New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts. We just have a ton of trees. If you're in the Southeast, like Georgia, you may have the same problem. But in Florida, you don't have that much of a problem in most areas. So you're not going to have a shading issue. But since we use so much electricity today, homeowners have increased their electricity usage by 55%. And did you know that the average cost of electricity has gone up more than 50 to 100%, depending on where you live, in the past 2 years? So solar may not eliminate your entire bill, but the way to present that objection would be this. And say, Anthony's the homeowner. He says, listen, I'm not really sure if solar is going to produce enough energy for my needs. I understand you, and I hear what you're saying, Anthony. If you imagine right now, you're what they call renting electricity from the utility, which means you are actually paying them a rent fee, and they're giving you electricity. And what do you get in return? You get zero, right? It's like an investment. Think of paying for your electricity bill as an investment. You're giving the money, and you get nothing in return. Yes, you get power, but there's no tangible monetary value. Whereas with your home, when you pay the bank your mortgage and your taxes, right, you get something in return. You get increased value of your home because prices of homes will always go up. You'll have blips, but for the most part, 99.99% of the time, housing prices are going to go up. So if you explain to the homeowner, you have right now an electricity bill that you pay, that you rent, and you get nothing in return. So if we take 20 or 30%, we just had a customer who got a 40% reduction in the electricity bill. They couldn't wait to get the system up on the roof. Because if you can explain it that your needs are going to be XYZ, right? You're always going to need power. But if I can give you the opportunity to carve out a piece of your electricity bill and have you own that electricity on your own, meaning you're self-producing it, you own it, you claim it, you use it, would that be valuable to you? Again, you have to reframe the objection with questions, okay? I want you to write this down. Always consider the 5 W's: who, what, where, when, why. Always think of the 5 W's. Don't always ask a yes or no question because you pigeonhole yourself if you get a no. So another response to Anthony would be, what would it mean to you if I can permanently reduce your electricity bill by 20 or 30%? Now, what you're doing is, again, reframing it by asking a question using what? What would it mean to you if I can permanently and significantly carve out a piece of your electricity bill and have you own it forever? Well, of course, why wouldn't I? Then you leverage on, listen, whether we're doing 20%, 15, or 50%, I am giving you ownership. I'm giving you a share, like a stock. I'm giving you a share in owning your own electricity bill. So that's the thing I wanted to share with you on that objection. Okay, next one's going to be is, and I'll leave the big one for last. You get ghosted. Now that's not an objection. People just don't show up, right? How many times have you actually gone into a home? You had a great presentation. All the buying indicators were there, whether it be a one-legger, they call one-legger, meaning one of the homeowners were there, but not both of them. Everything went very, very well. You go into the home and you walk through the process. Everything's great. They're ready to sign. Give me a call later. I just want to run this by my accountant, my wife, my spouse, my partner, my neighbor. I want to think it over for the day. Great. And you walk away all excited because you got a yes indicator. It's not a yes. It's called a yes indicator. Yes indicator doesn't mean it's an absolute yes. It means I might do it. I'm going to give you something to hang on. So when you call them back and they don't answer your phone, they don't return text messages, they don't return voicemail messages, right? So you've called. And by the way, rule, write this down. Never, ever text first. Never. I know this is a digital age and I get it. I'm the old guy, but don't text first. Pick up the phone and make the phone call. When you make a connection with somebody, this is a visceral connection. You hear my voice. You hear the emotion. You hear the intensity. You hear the passion. You hear the dedication. You hear the loyalty, right? You hear the intention. So when you make that phone call, you are letting that person know that you want to have a conversation with them. So first thing you do is you make a phone call. And you'd say, and if it goes to voicemail, hey, Anthony, I've been super busy. I'm just getting around to getting to my messages, and I noticed I hadn't heard from you. And leave it at that. Notice I haven't heard from you. Now, I know other coaches and other entrepreneurs will say something different. This is my style, and let me tell you why this works. You're not leaning into them too hard, but you're letting them know that, hey, we're here. Second thing, if they don't return the voice message, right? Then you send them a text. Hey, Anthony, just left you. And I don't like the word using just, but in this case, I'll use it because you want to let them know that you're there. Just left you a voice message. Not sure if it came through. Can you let me know? Okay. Next is you want to send them an email and say, hey, Anthony, just getting back to my desk, sent you a quick email, sent you a quick text and a quick voicemail. Right. So now you've done this 3 or 4 times. Now you got to back off because now you're being creepy. Okay. So here's where you make that pivotal move. Your pivotal move will go like this. You're going to look at their LinkedIn, look at their Facebook, look at their Instagram, follow them, and comment on their posting. Now, I know that sounds a little creepy, but here's the thing. If you've built enough relationship capital with the homeowner and you're actually connecting with them, you might connect with them on social media. All of my customers in the 16 years I've been in business, and we didn't have Facebook back then. I mean, we had MySpace or something weird like that. But I've been on LinkedIn for 16, 17 years. All of my customers are now LinkedIn connections. So if you can build a social media connection with your homeowner, that's powerful. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to go onto their LinkedIn and I want you to comment on something they post. Say, hey, that's a great post. I agree with you. Good idea. All you want to do is you want to let them know that you're there, and that's a reminder and a trigger. Now that you've gone through all these 5 steps, here's the last step. And no, it's not the Chris Voss approach, meaning would it be unreasonable or have you given up on? No, you don't want to do that. I want to always put it in a positive, intentional perspective. So here's what I want you to write. Are we still a go? That's it. Are we still a go? Don't be anything else other than are we still a go? It's 5 words. When you say those things, when you say it that way, you're asking them directly. And if they don't respond to you, right, something must have happened. Now, some of the coaches and some of the leaders will say, hey, I haven't heard from you. Are you okay? Now, people know that you're bullshitting them when you do that. They know that's just a sales tactic. I'm giving you stuff that's real and that's now that people haven't already figured out from other sales leaders, right? So go in with the attention of, hey, are we still a go? Now, if you don't hear from them then, this is number 7, you can say, listen, I haven't heard from you. I hope everything's okay. Are we still a go for solar? And then you leave it. That's 7 times. Now, typically, it takes between 7 and 14 touches to get in touch with your buyer. I've already talked about 7 or 8 of them. So what I would say is at this point, you want to back away. I would go into your CRM and do a follow-up in 2 weeks and say, hey, again, just getting around to my messages, and I noticed we haven't connected. Is everything okay? So I would do that because I think what you're going to find is when someone says, I want to think about it, that's one way of looking at it. Also, when someone says, I want to think about it, that means you haven't given them enough information to make a decision. You haven't added enough value to the conversation. So here's another way of thinking about it. I want to think about it. Oh, actually, ghosted. And we'll talk. Ghosted is that everybody hides behind voicemail. Everybody hides behind email. Everybody hides behind text because people don't like to commit, right? You have to be able to get people to commit. Here's one thing I want you to put into your brain the next time you're on a sales call is that your job is not to convince anybody of anything. You're not a politician. You're not running for mayor. You're not running for president. You're not running for governor, okay? Your job is absolutely not to convince. That's what politicians do. Politicians' job is to convince you to vote for them. When you convince people to do something they really don't want to do, your cancellation rates will skyrocket. Customers will get buyer's remorse. And third and worst is your reputation will just get shot. And you don't want to be in a situation where your reputation gets shot. So That's where we are with ghosting. Ghosting could be a longer discussion, and I'm happy to have that conversation. So if you guys are liking this, please put some likes right here below in the video. Put your comments here. I'll be asking some questions. We're going to hang on for another 10 minutes or so, but I'm really excited about this first broadcast. You guys good? You guys good? All right, let's get on to the last one, the last and final one, which is the most heard objection right now in solar is, I want to think about it. And usually sales reps will go, what do you want to think about? What is there to think about? Don't ever respond with that statement because you're being completely defensive. You don't want to be defensive. So when someone says, I want to think about it, first response could be, is that, get it. I understand this is a big decision for you. I know this is something you have to think about. And usually when homeowners tell me they want to think about it, it's, I haven't done enough due diligence and asked you enough questions and given you enough value. If you can help me understand where I might have fell off, again, playing that, if I did something wrong, I want to be able to understand if I did it wrong or if there's something they're not telling me. If you can just help me understand where I might have missed or something I didn't ask, I'll be able to remedy that right now. That's one thing. Second thing you can do is, I want to think about it. Totally understand it is a big decision for you, Anthony. Is there something specific that you wanted to consider so I can leave you with some information to consider as you think about it? Number 3, great. How much time do you need to think about it, Anthony? Now that's aggressive and I like it. Here's how you want to couch that. When you say, how much time do you need? Listen, the New York State tax credit is going to change soon and it may get reduced. And I can't guarantee what that incentive is going to be like. So if you can help me understand when you're going to make a decision, I can help you how those tax credits are going to change. Here's a big one, and this is real, very, very real right now, is that dealer fees and interest rates are constantly changing. And if you have a homeowner that wants to do a loan, you could say something like, Anthony, that's great. Understand, I want to be able to present to you the urgent, crucial facts. Interest rates constantly change and they're always going up, and dealer fees are constantly going up. And I want to be able to lock you into this. So in order for me to lock you into this particular program, I'm going to need a decision by the end of the week. If not, then I can't guarantee that it's going to be there. Now, I know that's leaning into the customer, but again, you're being a little bit more aggressive. You're leaning in and you're compelling them to make a decision. Listen, they want to go solar. They want to go solar. It's your job to open the door and compel them to walk through the door, not convince them, right? Here's the difference between compel and convince. When you compel somebody, they say, let's do the horse to water approach. When you compel somebody, you're showing them that, okay, here's the horse, here's the path, there's the water. I'll help you walk down the path. I'll clear the path for you. And then I'll just show you where the water is. That's compelling. Convincing is grabbing the horse by the throat, dragging him down the path, and then dunking his head in the water. People don't want to be convinced. People want to be compelled, right? As Jeffrey Gitomer said, people hate to be sold, but they love to buy. I don't care what any guru says. This is the freaking truth. Nobody likes to be sold, but everybody loves to buy, right? You go into a mall, for those of you that still go to malls, people are buying. And they're not being convinced to buy. They're being compelled to buy because the door's open. So let's get back to I want to think about it. So another tactic would be, I want to think about it. Great. You could say, Mr. Customer, Anthony, I understand you want to think about this. I have to be honest with you. And sometimes you can say that, depends on who you are. Sometimes you don't want to say that. But for the purposes of this exercise, I would say, Anthony, to be completely transparent with you, when I hear that, it leads me to believe that you're not interested. Are you all in? Is this something that you want to do? That's when you ask the yes or no question. Because what you're doing is you're letting the homeowner know that I don't want to waste your time and I don't want to waste my time, but you're also being transparent. A lot of customers like that. Let me give you an example. There was a customer we had that was a doctor. Okay, he was an anesthesiologist. And the questions that this guy asked was, he wanted to know about the efficiencies. He wanted to know about the voltage on the inverters. He had tons and tons of questions. And I coached the rep and I said, listen, you've answered all the questions. You said yes to the inverter he wanted. You said yes to the panel he wanted. It's going to be more expensive. Here's what you say. You say, let's call him Alex. You can say, Alex, I've answered all your questions. This is the best I can do. You could probably talk to a couple of other companies. This is the best you're going to get because I'm personally invested in making sure that you, and I'll hold off and tell you what the rest of the answer is. Let me back up. Alex is an anesthesiologist. You know the little drip bubble that comes out of the anesthesia? The difference between the size of that drip and the frequency of that drip is the difference between somebody falling asleep and somebody dying. So imagine the buyer's mind. The buyer is what we call an owl. They're very smart. They're very engineering based. Here's typical owls: doctors, anesthesiologists, electrical engineers, engineers as a whole, somebody who's a numbers person. They always want to get into the nitty gritty. So what does an anesthesiologist want patients to feel? They want to feel safe and they want to feel protected, right? So response to Alex would be, Alex, we've given you everything you want. This is the best deal you're going to get. I think this is something you should go with. This system will absolutely protect you and you and your family and keep you safe from the utility trying to pull money out of your pocket. And at that point, he signed the deal. And it worked. It worked perfectly. So that's the last one I wanted to cover today. So I want to think about it, get ghosted. So hope this was helpful. Guys, I know it's my first one. Look for your feedback. Look for your comments. Look for any ideas and thoughts. But this is going to be a weekly podcast. And I think it's important to note that my goal is to give you as much information so you can go out and train your team, coach your team, more importantly, win more deals and create a sustainable business. Right? In the 16 years I've been in this business, I've seen so many companies come and go. I've heard all the promises. I just came back from SolarCon, which I thought was a really great show for the sales and marketing folks. Some of these guys are talking about, hey, who wants to make $1 million in solar this year? And I think it's a little too much over the top. But if you want to make a respectable and a healthy income in the solar business, you can absolutely do it. And respectable could mean if you want to make $1 million, you absolutely can. But you have to be in the right mindset to do that. And if you can't do that unless you have the right coaching, the right consulting, leadership, and execution. So if this is something that you're interested in, if this is something you want to have a conversation about, if you're struggling with no-shows, if you're struggling with objections, if you're struggling with getting the right sales strategy and execution in place, I definitely want to have a conversation with you. Hope this was helpful, guys. I look forward to seeing you next time. Now, go out and go sell something.